This video introduces you to the heart rate coherence application's audio feedback capabilities. Using audio feedback allows you to train without looking at the screen, so you can use the application during eyes closed meditation or mindfulness practice, for example. There are three kinds of audio feedback: MIDI, breathing tone, and threshold. You can use them in combination at the same time if you wish. The controls are found at the bottom of the application's window. Each of the three has an on-off button, a volume slider, and you can choose which parameter to base the feedback on, for example breathing rate or coherence score. Threshold-based feedback involves configuring the threshold using these controls. First we'll cover MIDI feedback. Press this button to turn it on. It plays a piano note repeatedly whose pitch varies with your chosen feedback parameter. Use this control to select which parameter to use. For example, if I select heart rate, then a MIDI note plays for each heartbeat, and the faster the heart rate, the higher the pitch. So in coherence, the notes will rise in pitch as you breathe in, and then descend again as you breathe out. Let's move on to breathing tone feedback. This button activates a tone which follows the breath like this. You can see how this feedback is designed to support breath awareness or mindfulness of breathing practice. The pitch varies with the feedback parameter. Again, you can select which parameter using this control. For example, if I select breathing rate, then the tone goes deeper as the breathing gets slower. My personal favorite parameter to use with the breathing tone is coherence score. As with MIDI, there's an inverse relationship with pitch, so the higher the coherence, the deeper the tone. Another option is synchrony. For the breathing tone, the average magnitude of synchrony is used. That is, the sign is dropped. The deeper the tone, the more tightly coupled are the breath and the heart wave. The scale of the pitch is the same as that used in one of the displays. For example, if you choose coherence score, the range is the same as that used in the short-term display. Or if you select breathing rate, the range is the same as that used in the long-term display. Threshold feedback is more versatile, and it'll take a little more time to explain. Firstly, you activate it with this button and control its volume with this slider. The idea of this feedback is that whenever the feedback parameter crosses a threshold, a sound is triggered. By default it's a bell sound, but you could set up a different sound. See the user guide for details of how to do that. The value of using the threshold is that the feedback is generally less intrusive, freeing you to focus on your direct experience. The feedback only comes in when you've drifted away from your desired mind-body state. For example, you can set it so that a bell rings whenever your breath goes too fast. The threshold itself is set using these controls. The first one selects the parameter to base the feedback on, coherence score or breathing rate, for example. You see that the bar graph changes color depending on what parameter you select. The range of the graph is set to be the same as other graphs in the application. For example, if you choose coherence score, it's the same as the range in the short-term display. This bar controls the actual level of the threshold. You can drag it with your mouse to change it. You can set the feedback to sound either when the signal goes above the limit, or below it, or even both using this control. If you select outside, you'll see two bars displayed, and you'll get feedback when the signal goes either above the upper bar or below the lower bar. If you select breathing rate, for example, you can set the feedback to warn you when the breath goes either too fast or too slow. That's actually quite useful given that heart rate coherence is a kind of resonant frequency at around 6 breaths per minute, at which the response is maximized. There are quite a few options for the feedback parameter, some of which need some explanation. See the application's user guide for details.